So while the PGA Tour and LIV have been spending the last 12 to 18 months publicly fighting it out, Tiger Woods has been quietly changing the landscape of golf, and he's been amassing an all-star league of golfers that we believe is truly going to revolutionize and change the entire landscape of golf. And of course, Mike, I'm talking about TGL. Now, what's so wild about this, you and I, we do a podcast, we talk about golf, we are immersed deeply into it. And even for us, it has largely been flying under the radar.
100%.
But the crazy thing about TGL is that they've accomplished just about every single thing that LIV and some of these other attempted breakout leagues have been trying to do. First and foremost, they've gotten the best of the best golfers to commit to this. Mm-hmm. They've got teams and investors already in those teams. And perhaps most importantly, because at the end of the day, this is a business.
Yep.
They've got title sponsors, and they've got the all-coveted broadcast deal, which was just recently announced. So because so much of this has been happening in a way that's been a little bit quiet, we're going to dig into all of it right now. We're going to tell you guys how it's structured, how you can watch it. We're even polled you guys to ask if you would watch it. So you're going to see that poll pop up in a minute. And you'd be surprised maybe how many of you are so interested in this. But you all had a very similar take on it. So we're going to get into that too in a second. But I want to dive into how this works. I want to talk about the teams because this is truly so much more than just simulator golf. And I think it's going to largely change the way we think about the game because this, out of all the platforms, is probably one of the most creative.
Yeah, no doubt. And I heard even this morning, just chatting it with you, it's a combination of simulator golf and some real golf.
Absolutely.
So you got to explain this to me, man.
This is technology level a billion. So first, to bring everyone up to speed on some of this, TGL, and I say Tiger. Tiger is one of the key investors. He's one of the key faces. And at the end of the day, Tiger is, as you've heard it said a million times, Tiger doesn't move the needle. He is the needle. Think about it like this. Whether you believe the rumors were true or not, if they truly did offer Tiger $1 billion to come and play, and I think it's totally well within the realm of that actually of having happened. It's because they know the eyeballs follow Tiger. So already that's key point number one why I think this is going to be a very successful league because they've got Tiger. Tiger in prime time just works.
Absolutely. The product value has gone up immediately.
Exactly. Now, we will speculate in a second of whether we believe that Tiger will be ready to go and participate in this, but I do think there's one huge factor that sets up perfectly for Tiger to be able to compete in this, and what I believe that is there won't be any walking required.
There you go.
Think about Tiger's big injuries, the leg and the plantar fasciitis, which has really held him back.
Biggest limitation.
Those are two things that he does not need to worry about in this league because he can swing. It is a big arena. We'll talk about that in a second. There'll be a little bit of walking around, but nothing like walking a 7,000-yard golf course. Now, it's not just Tiger. You also have Rory McIlory and Mike McCarley, who is a veteran exec in the broadcast business. He was with Golf Channel. There's also going to be a key stake with the PGA Tour. There's also many, many celebrity investors. In a way, I think that diversity of the investment is another key to the success here because it's not just one entity backing it. There's multiple backings. But I think where it starts to get exciting, and this is where I want to make sure we put this on people's radar because I think this is what, again, sets it up for a lot of success, is going to be the arena itself. So the arena is going to be in Palm Beach Gardens. It's already got a title headline sponsor. It's the SoFi Center. It's a 135,000 square foot arena.
Wow.
That it's going to be. So this is, again, a lot of us now, simulator and simulation golf, we've got a concept in our mind. We've seen it before. And we think maybe like a 12 to 15 foot screen, right? This is nothing like that. This is truly as immersive as you can get and still be indoors. Have you ever seen these IMAX movies?
Yeah.
That huge
like
screen.
The Vegas Sphere is popular right now.
Like the Vegas Sphere, these massive screens. Well, get this. The simulator screen that players will be hitting into is IMAX size. It's 64 feet wide by 46 feet tall. Now you got to think about that for a second. 46 feet. Some of these guys are hitting 7 irons that are apexing. You know what I mean?
Right.
It is a massive, massive area that they're hitting into.
Jeez, I mean the technology that must go into the cameras.
Well, of course, we've heard Tiger with his partnership that he's had with the technology sponsor, which is Full Swing. So Full Swing is going to be the one that's going to be heading this up.
Got it. Yep.
And Tiger's been long partnered with them, so of course that's why that relationship is there. But that, to give you more perspective, that screen is 20 times the size of a traditional simulator screen.
Wow.
So why that's important is a couple of reasons. One, it's going to be, like I said, very immersive for the players who are playing. Number two, it's going to create a much more visually engaging scenario for the spectators.
Totally. I mean, you got to be able to see it.
Exactly.
Yep.
So the arena is going to be set to hold anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 spectators. Now, in the realm of professional sports, that is not terribly big, but in a way, Mike, it's kind of cool. Like, right? Like, imagine you scored one of those tickets.
Yeah.
You're right there.
Yeah, it's intimate setting. We've all had that fortune to get that intimate concert, like at Irving Plaza or the Beacon or something.
Right.
Similar feel, I'm sure, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. And I think you and I have been to enough pro tour events, and it's really cool to be out there and walking just on the other side of the ropes with these guys, right? But there's always one problem with that. You kind of have to pick which golfers you watch, and it's a lot of walking around. You either have to pick a hole and stay there and just see those shots, or you have to kind of pick which golfers you're going to watch and follow them around the golf course.
Right.
In this scenario, as you're there, you're going to see all 6 players who are out there playing and watching the match, and you're near them at all times. Mm-hmm. The players are also going to all be mic'd up. So we'll talk about that entertainment value in a second, but going even deeper into this arena and how it's going to work. Your players are going to hit their full swing shots into this huge, massive simulator screen.
Okay, so they tee off into the screen.
They tee off, they hit their approach shots. Based on where the ball ends up, behind them in this arena is going to be this huge simulation or synthetic grass area. It's going to be 98 yards by 50 yards. So massive. For perspective, again, think of that as about the size of 4 basketball courts.
It's a football field, essentially, right?
It's basically the size of a football field, right?
Yeah.
That surface is going to be ever changing. So what you're going to have are these virtual greens. Again, this is all provided by Full Swing. 3,800 square feet of putting surface, and there's going to be 189 actuators and jacks hidden underneath the surface that are going to change that whole entire putting green slopes.
Just the green, not the whole terrain.
I believe it's the whole green area.
Okay. Yep.
So
yep.
So if
even the 100-yard shot could be on a different slope.
So yeah, let's say you hit your approach shot and you end up in a greenside bunker. As the guys turn around, now they're going to go and actually play that shot out. The green and the area around the green will actually move and create the exact same layout and topography as what the hole requires.
This is crazy.
Right?
Crazy. Yeah. Wow.
So now you're sitting there as a fan, or you're watching it on television. You're going to have to watch Tiger, Rory, Jon Rahm execute those greenside shots right there in front of you, and no 2 shots will be the same because the entire playing surface will be changed and manipulated by these actuators for each shot.
I'm trying to visualize this arena in my head, and I'm thinking like a football field. If you go to like MetLife Stadium, it's a 100-yard field. And then imagine the screen is in the end zone, but 2,000 seats instead of 60,000 seats.
Right.
Something's off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's not going to be, if you think about a big football stadium, they go way up. This won't be that. Like you said before, a much more intimate setting. It's going to be, the screen will take up one whole side.
That's incredible.
Right? And then they'll be all around
that. What a sight
that
to see, though. That'd be great.
It really, truly going to be a very different golf experience than being out on the grass. But in the same way, far more evolved than just playing into a simulator. And we've seen simulation make leaps and bounds in technology recently, but this is going to be another level because you will have a component of shots being made into what I would call real greens.
Yep.
And that's where like a lot of the scoring happens. So we're going to see, the cool thing is we'll have all of the stats displayed, ball speed numbers, all that, tracers, which you'll get from hitting into the big screen. And then as the guys hit their approach shot, depending on where it lands, the entire landscape behind them will change and they will place their ball there. So just simply incredible. Now, as wowed as we can all be by technology, I think we all know what brings in eyeballs, and that's the players.
Yeah, I was going to say Tiger #1, but yes, the players in general.
And the perfect example of that is what LIV and the PGA Tour have been fighting over, which is the rosters, the players. Who do you get? Who do you have to bring in? So the players are locked in, and this is another thing that kind of goes like quietly building this and going under the radar. If you hadn't been watching Twitter closely over the last 3 months or so, you may not even realize the signings that have been happening for TGL. There's been these, surprisingly, in my view, and if I'm wrong, you guys comment and let me know if you felt like it was more visible than I think. But there's been these quiet signings with a quick announcement on Twitter. It's like Colin Morikawa has joined.
Right.
Justin Thomas, Justin Rose. It kind of goes on and on.
Yeah.
Right. But the reality is they've got a 24-player roster that, get this, combined between them. They have 7 of the top 10 players in the world committed. Of the players in the field, 32 total major championships. I'm sure Tiger helps that number, but you know what I mean. 224 PGA Tour victories. Incredible. So here, I'll run through the roster really quick, and you may even be surprised by some of these names, but think about 2 common themes with this roster. One being the quality of golf, and 2, I think they very wisely and very astutely put together rosters that encompassed a global field. There's a lot of outside the U.S. representation, and B, personality.
I was probably going to say like a social media stretch.
Yes.
Like who are the winners out there? Max Homas of the world.
Exactly. Now think of this, and we'll talk about this when we talk about format in a second. All players during these matches will be mic'd up. You want the guys mic'd up who are entertaining with their chirps and stuff like that. So
no doubt.
Take a look at this list. You've got Tiger Woods, Rory McIlory, Jon Rahm, Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas, Keegan Bradley, Matt Fitzpatrick, Lucas Glover, Shane Lowry, Justin Rose, Adam Scott, Wyndham Clark, Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, Max Homa, Cameron Young, Terrell Hatton, Tommy Fleetwood, Ricky Fowler, Sahith Theegala, Tom Kim, Minwoo Lee, Billy Horschel, and Kevin Kisner.
Yeah. All-Star League.
All-Star.
Yeah.
All-Star personality league, too.
Exactly.
First of all, Minwoo Lee, I think, is low-key one of the most entertaining guys in all of golf.
He's a Twitter gem, as well as
Max Homa.
Terrell Hatton mic'd up is going to be interesting.
Dude, tell me right now, and I'm not just... If you guys feel that I'm overhyping this, let me know in the comments, because I'm telling you my full opinion here. I am hyped for the idea in prime time, mic'd up, and I'm watching Kiz, Minwoo Lee, Max Homa.
These are guys that will tell you how they feel. Kiz giving it, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then meanwhile, Tiger just coming in there and just silencing them all. Because Tiger's low-key, like the best chirper out there.
Absolutely. Now, do you obviously remember when the viral clip of the soundbite of the no divots to Scotty Scheffler?
Yes.
That one little soundbite went so viral. Now you're going to have Tiger Woods mic'd up, every Wednesday night or whatever it is. It's going to be electric. People are going to tune in everywhere.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why I think it's going to work.
This is largely set for success. So what I will say is, and here's where we kind of get an idea of, like I said, I'm excited for it, but I want to see what you guys thought. So we put a poll up there. Will you be watching? We threw this on the community page on YouTube. If you listen to the podcast on Spotify or whatever, if you want to engage with some of our polls, make sure you subscribe on YouTube as well. But 68% of you said yes, you would be watching. So well over half. The comments, though, I did find interesting. A lot of the comments that were expressed were a lot of you said you would give it a chance, but you weren't sure yet about how entertaining the format would be.
Yes.
And I'm paraphrasing that. What I do think is smart is they're coming with their best foot forward. I would be very shocked if Tiger wasn't playing in that first match on the first night.
Yeah, I'd be shocked. I would think he would be the leader. He would set the statement right out of the gate. I mean, here's my thing about it. I think it's going to... This is just my opinion. I think this is going to be big because of the names that are involved and the broadcast rights and everything and the money and stuff behind it. I also think that it might even give LIV a scare, and it's going to make LIV even less desirable People are going to care less about Live. This is what I think, because this is easy. It's easily watched. Just throw on ESPN. You can get involved with it. You could tape it. You could watch it. Tiger, you love Tiger. It's all about Tiger. By the way, I want to ask you, are players getting paid for this to join, or just as they compete?
It's a great question. I have not found any official signing money or otherwise knowledge of that.
Okay.
If there's something that's gone on behind the scenes, I believe the only one rumor I've heard, if you guys have heard more, throw it in the comments. I have heard that players will have some sort of stake in the equity of the league, which is smart.
Yeah.
Because now these guys are invested in getting eyeballs and making it grow.
Yeah, and before you talk about that, all that breakdown, my last point on that is that the one thing with simulator golf that people always complain about, especially even when you and I do videos about some of these great simulators out there, they always say chipping stinks and putting is the worst. So they've eliminated that from the sim, which is brilliant, which makes me think that's why it may work. I'm a little scared. At first, I was like, simulator golf, what can go wrong? A shot doesn't register.
I agree. I think that was such a key decision because I think watching Tiger putt on a simulator might have been like
any of these guys, because then if they make a bet, but they're like, I can't do this, or like, this is not real.
And we all know that the simulators have become so hyper accurate.
Yes.
No different than we see the TrackMan and the Launch Monitor when they're playing out there, on in the grass. Now we will see all the launch conditions. These guys will be hitting their shots. Even probably, 100-yard pitch shots will still be included.
Yep.
But once they get to chipping, bunker play, and putting, it's all on a surface. So I think that's so key. So how will this work? So you're going to have six teams, 6 total teams. And here again is something that, and I want to quickly go back to addressing what the live comment. I agree in a way that, like, you could look at this on the surface and say, well, this is kind of everything Live wanted to be, golf but louder, faster, harder hitting, things like that. Keep in mind, all of these matches will have a 2-hour time limit, which I find interesting too.
That's great.
So it's going to be fast pace. It's not going to drag on. It's 3v3.
Okay.
It's not going to drag on anyway. However, I don't know if they're setting this, especially with the potential merger and the PGA Tour being involved, setting this as a direct competitor to Live. One, we'll talk about the schedule in a second, but it's going to be on Mondays. It won't be a direct competitor as far as timeline. You won't go head-to-head against the Live event to see whatever. You won't necessarily be having players where if there was Live players, they'd have to compete.
Nothing will be on Mondays at that point. Football's done, I'm assuming.
Well, it'll run up almost until football season. I don't know if it'll run into football season, but it's going to run close. It's going to run at least the first half of the year.
Okay.
But anyway, you guys can weigh in the comments. Let us know if you feel like this is in any way like competitor to Live. I think if anywhere I draw that relationship would be that there's a lot of factors of this that make me feel like this is a lot of what Live wanted to do.
Right.
One of those being securing teams. So they've got 6 teams secured. 6 teams will be in total. 5 teams have been announced so far. So you've got the Atlanta Drive Golf Club. You got TGL Boston, Los Angeles Golf Club, TGL New York, and TGL San Francisco. Each team is going to have 4 players, so that's why you have the 24-player roster. And then the matches themselves will each feature 3 of those players competing in a match play format. So how exactly that'll work, I'm not sure. We will continue to report on this as we get closer and closer to it, and as of course, we'll talk about it when we get the first match and we get to really see the rubber meet the road, because I don't know yet how that'll work with one player sitting per match, but you'll have the 6 teams. And then the cool thing with these teams is the teams are going to have their own branding. They're going to have their own merchandise. See there, i.e. very much in a Live format.
Right.
And I think a lot of people saw the success of team play with Live, and I think that's where this is drawing a component of that. But also each team, and this is where Live has admittedly struggled a bit, was getting the investors. The long-term goal of Live was to get a little bit of the PIF fund out and a little bit more of investors buying into teams. Well, the 5 teams that exist already all already have buyers and owners. And what I think, again, another, I'll keep saying this, setting it up for success, a lot of those owners are already coming from owning other sports franchises.
Oh, there you go.
So they've got the networks, they've got the experience with it. For example, TGL Boston is owned, I believe, by the Fenway guys who own a lot of the Boston sports. So there's a lot here. It clearly is set to be exciting. And there's one more component that I think will be something that's very new to. We're not seeing this, we're seeing this evolve in sports in general, and I think it's going to also keep that engagement way up. We're going to talk about that in a second. I want to do a quick break here to do a word from our sponsors. All right, so obviously I'm sure a lot of you have heard since the very successful launch of the new Titleist T-Series irons, a lot of people talking about how great they feel, how the performance, but more importantly, how much diversity there is in that lineup and the importance of getting fit. Well, we had it firsthand. We both got to get experience of getting fit, and one thing I will say is these irons just feel amazing. The turf interaction that they've put into these irons is great. I'll tell you, I'm not the world's best golfer. I've had some times I know I don't hit it flush and I'm still getting my yardage. It's just, it goes through the turf so clean and I'm still gathering a lot of that ball speed. So you get so much more consistent ball striking and more consistent look throughout the bag. I ended up with a very blended set. I've got the T150s, T200, and T350 all in my bag, and it's just a cohesive look across. They're really meant for blending mixed bags. So my fitting experience has been really transformative for my game, and I want you guys to get the chance to get out there and experience it for yourself. The only real way that you're going to be able to unlock all of the potential of the new Titleist T-Series is to go out there and get fit. Regardless of your handicap, a good fitting is really worth its weight in gold, and putting yourself in the hands of a great fitter, you're going to learn so much about your golf game, and you're going to come out of there with so much more confidence. So go to Titleist.com, learn more about the T-Series irons, and right there on the website, you can schedule your own fitting today. Trust me, get fit. Don't look back. You'll really get a lot out of the experience. I know we did.
And big thanks to FootJoy. We're absolutely loving the Thermo series. We've been rocking it for a long time now. And this past few weeks, even, it's gotten cold. I mean, last week it was warm. We're in shorts and a regular short sleeve shirt. And now this week the cold is back. So the cold is definitely coming. It's here to stay. And we want to make sure you guys can play golf as long as possible, especially if you're in those cold areas like we are. Thermo series, it offers a range of distinct layering pieces for different conditions designed to all be worn together. It allows you to effortlessly adapt as the weather conditions evolve. I mean, we're playing at Catanset where it's windy when you're going on a couple holes. Then you go inland and you're sweating and we're delayering and then putting stuff back on. I mean, this is what you guys need. It's advanced gear. It keeps you warm and comfortable, but it allows that full range of motion. I can't talk about that enough because you don't want to be hampered swinging, not like George Costanza with the Gore-Tex jacket. You want something that gets through even though you're staying warm and comfortable. So go experience it for yourself. It's arguably the best out there on the market. Go to FootJoy.com. Check out Thermo Series for yourself, and as the day evolves, you can evolve with it.
And guys, if you've been following along, you know we've been testing the Ripstick swing speed training system, and it's just been incredibly enlightening and eye-opening of just how this speed training really works. And Ripstick just makes it so easy. It's the ultimate training aid. You have 8 different weight combinations, all combined in one stick. And why that really matters, it just makes it so much more convenient and easy to get through your training. You have overload and underload training. It's really just a fancy way of swinging more and less weight. And Ripstick really makes it easy. You can just swap those weights out in just a matter of seconds. And we're surprised at really how little time it takes. I've been doing it 3 times a week, 15 minutes a day. If you really think about that, if that's what you just need to invest is 50 minutes a day, 3 days a week to really start to either get your swing speed up or really, get your swing speed back. Maybe you've lost a little with age. This is the way to do it. And right now, it's even better if you want to dive into the system because with every purchase, Dr. Luc Benoit, he's the founder of the company, he's providing a free swing analysis that's a $90 value. So the idea behind this is not only to hit it further, but to hit it straighter. That's why it really is the ultimate training aid and training tool. And you guys can use code GOLFICITY for 20% off. It's already very affordable, speed training system, and it makes it more affordable with that coupon. 20% off. Start hitting some bombs today. Go to Ripstick, check out their website, order yours, make a great gift for yourself this holiday season. Okay, so before the ad break, we teased this idea of one more component that I think is going to up the not only the entertainment value but in the engagement value, and that there is going to be actually a gambling component built right in
for everyone, fans, audience members.
What I would say is
players.
There's always this nuance of where gambling is legal.
True.
But from what I'm surmising, what I'm seeing, the PGA Tour has its involvement, and the PGA Tour has FanDuel as its official betting partner.
Okay.
So I would be surprised if it wasn't FanDuel who they end up partnering with this. But what they're saying is that there will be, this is right from the TGL's website, they said a gambling component will be involved. There'll also be a lot of social media components. So I would imagine as this plays out live, you'll probably have a lot of live betting. I would also imagine that even some of the ones who are not the official betting partners, who knows, let's say it's DraftKings, will probably have some sort of live betting that you can do too.
Right.
So, will Tiger hole out from this location,
right, exactly,
or whatever it may be? So I think that there's going to be that, and then I would imagine if you do attend the events, there'll probably be some sort of live betting action that can happen.
Can get dangerous
there. It can potentially
but how
get
fun
dangerous.
Can that be?
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, if we look at this holistically of what they've built here, they have solved a lot of the indoor golf issues, or at least it remains to be seen. In concept, they have. We'll see when it premieres and it rolls out. But like you said, with the putting and stuff like that, by having a dynamic surface that changes, they've got that. They brought the big names in.
Yep.
With having guys like Tiger Woods and John Rahm and these other big names, Rory McIlory, pulling that in, and of course attracting a lot of that attention. They've got the entertainment value, the fact that everybody's going to be mic'd up. I feel like they're taking a lot of the best components that work from, for example, like The Match.
Yes.
They've learned from that.
Yes.
Imagine these guys mic'd up, and then now you've got kids out there just chirping at Justin Thomas. Can you imagine like the what can possibly come out of that? Plus, like I said, they've got the arena, the live component, and the all-important secured broadcasting rights on a premier channel. And I don't know if we mentioned this. I mean, it's important to mention. It's going to be on ESPN.
Yeah.
ESPN
it's
Plus,
get its views.
ESPN2. And they've slotted it into some of the best primetime spots. When this thing kicks off, I think it's going to be coming right after one of the big college bowl games. So imagine one of the big college bowl games wraps up on ESPN and we go right into the first inaugural match.
I'll be watching.
I know.
Yep.
I'm going to be watching as
all
well.
over it.
So the reason I think the most important thing that we wanted to uncover here is that there's a lot here. There's a lot of big, important stuff that we think is going to be very successful, and yet it's been so quiet. We have not heard much from Tiger. We've not heard much from the news sources. Like I said, unless you've been following TGL on Twitter closely, you may have missed some of these big, massive signings. So maybe Tiger knows something we don't know.
He knows a lot of things.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe as Tiger's sitting back there, and I know Tiger's been recently added to like the board, the committee of members, the player members for the PGA Tour, and he's serving in different capacities there. But again, for all of the infighting and bickering between LIV and the PGA Tour, there's Tiger quietly recovering on the sidelines, and I think full well knowing that his league is going to be what changes the game potentially more than anything else that's happening.
And what if it gets the PGA Tour the money that it needs, that it wants, that $2 billion? What if this is so successful, it's just pouring in new revenue from sponsors, advertisers, and boom, they got the money.
You never know. I mean, advertisers, they're going to love the names, and they're going to love the broadcasting on prime time.
Yeah.
And there's one other thing that I think that I'll leave you guys with this thought that it kind of helps set it up for success. This is not necessarily, even though a lot of the technology is new, the concept is not as new as we here domestically in the States might think, because we're not used to seeing it. But there's a very successful indoor league happening in South Korea right now. And it's proof of concept. People are going to those arenas. People are watching that on television. And I think that this is, as the game becomes more global, and South Korea has a specific challenge with not having enough land there to have enough golf courses. And they've largely kind of solved that with their indoor leagues.
Right.
Could indoor golf in general, from a professional standpoint and from an amateur standpoint, be truly revolutionized as prime time indoor golf hits the scene, as with the TGL? Might we start to see these 135,000 square foot facilities pop up around the country, and might they A, host these events, and B, become open for us to go and play.
Right.
Think about it right now. Well, people are paying to play TPC Sawgrass, to play where the pros play. Well, maybe now you'll be scheduling your tee time to play in one of these SoFi arenas,
right,
where these guys play, and experience that. You just never know. This could be opening up really new floodgates for another new way for the game to be played.
No doubt.
But we want to hear your opinions. Make sure you guys weigh in the comments, because this one we believe could be big, and we want to hear what you think as well.